Have you ever noticed that there are a lot more sad poems written than there are happy ones? It's a very interesting topic to me. Why? Because I have a PhD in medieval poetry and have studied for decades the influence of Shakespeare's sonnets upon the future of poets to come? No. I don't know poetry, I just know what I like. And there's one or two poems that I do like. Like Philip Larkin starts off a poem which goes, "Your parents fuck you up. They don't mean to, but they do." Anyway, back to the topic in hand. Why am I talking about why there is, percentage-wise, I tried to look up the percentage actually, but no one seems to have written it down. Why is there more sad poetry than happy poetry? Well, I have an idea of why. And that is that when we are happy, joyful, content, we don't analyze it. But when we are sad, low mood, miserable, depressed, we analyze. We try and analyze why. So you see, it comes down to attitude. When we are happy, we don't ask the questions that we normally ask when we're unhappy. And the two biggest questions that influence our attitude are this: what if, and if only. Now, when we're happy, we don't ask those questions. We just live in the present, whether it's sitting on the beach with your family, having an ice cream with a lump of chocolate in it, looking at a beautiful Pacific Ocean and surfers and a blue sky, and and we're happy. And we don't sit there going, what's making me happy? Is it the ice cream? Is it the sunshine? Is it being with my family? I must think about that. No, we don't think at all when we're happy. It was canoodling on the sofa. There's a good old word, canoodling. You're canoodling on the sofa with your lover, watching a good film and eating chocolates. Does anybody say, I wonder why I'm happy? Is it that it's a very good film? Is it that these chocolates are particularly delicious? Or is it that my girlfriend is dressed particularly nicely today? No, we don't analyse it. We live in it. We experience it. We absolutely live in the moment. We don't ask what if, and we don't ask if only. But when things get low, when we're feeling a bit of a low mood, or lonely, or anxious, or life just seems hard, a tragedy happens, there are so many poems written about these things. Why? Because we want to analyze ourselves and the universe and the reason for living and all this existential stuff, as well as the immediate practical stuff, when things are going wrong, when things don't feel right. So you sit there. Well, I'm sure, I don't know who wrote a lot of unhappy poetry. You see, I'm not a poet. I don't know. Let's say Byron, though I have no idea, or Lord Tennyson or somebody. Oh, Sylvia Plath, there you go. She sat and wrote. Now, to those of you who are Sylvia Plathites, I could be getting this wrong and I apologize, but she would sit and write a lot of sad poetry about her mood, her situation, about life, about suicide. She was always trying to figure out, if only, what if. She was analysing all the time and outpoured this sad poetry. And eventually she killed herself. A lot of philosophers do that too, because they're trying to figure things out. I found that out when I was doing a module at university. Didn't do very well. But you see, when we are in a place of joy, we do not look back and go, if only, right? So you're sitting there with a bunch of friends round the table, having a lovely meal, laughing your ass off, getting a bit tipsy. And these are friends that mean a lot to you. Say you met them at university or you went through the military with them or whatever. You're not saying to yourself, oh, if only I'd worn a different dress. Oh, if only I'd come 10 minutes earlier. If only we'd done this years ago. We also don't say, what if one of us dies this week? What if somebody here doesn't like my jumper? What if I have a terrible hangover in the morning and just feel awful? What if, if only, if only, if only. No, none of that happens. We don't allow it. We don't process it. We just live in the joy of the moment of being happy. Now, if you're in a different situation, where perhaps, for instance, your girlfriend or you and you were sitting at different ends of the sofa watching the television, and there's a bit of a tension between you and things. You had an argument yesterday, and she's eating all the chocolates and not letting you have any. Then those questions start. What if I hadn't commented on the size of her bum yesterday? That's a bad example. What if I had been more thoughtful yesterday? What if I hadn't been so brutish in the argument? If only she would listen to me and let me explain the mood I was in when I was saying those things, and then she'd understand why I didn't really mean them. What if she leaves me? What if I never get another girlfriend? If only this was a better film. You see, we start to analyze, why am I unhappy? Why is this thing happening? Why is this not a time of joy? Now, I'm not saying you should just quite merrily live in the present in a time of unhappiness or tension or anything like that. Yes, you can attempt to woo once again your girlfriend or whatever the situation is. But a low mood has so much to do with what we do with our minds, is what I'm saying. Let me give you an example. Something I've learned over my many, many years on this planet. I, as you know, have chronic fatigue syndrome. I quite like having a syndrome. A syndrome sounds like a drome. a large space where sin would take place. But no, it's not. It's just a condition. Anyway, so I have days where I feel much better than other days. I have days where I haven't seen anybody for 3 or 4 days. I'm lonely. I haven't got the energy to even read a book or even want to watch the telly. I feel despondent. And my natural progression is not to write a happy poem about the joy of solitude or about the peace and contentment of being on one's own, or how lovely the sunshine is or something. No, I sit and I analyze, gosh, what if I feel like this tomorrow as well? If only I was feeling better and I could get out. Do you see what I mean? I change my mood lower and lower and lower. If only the sun was shining. If only I had a car and could go out somewhere. If only I had some money and could afford a car. You know, all the negative comes and we allow it and we ponder it, and the poets write about it. When we are in a good place, I don't do what if and if only. I just relish the moment I'm in. And one thing I have learned about the low days is this. And it gets me through the low days. I'll try and explain it in a way that makes sense. To me, and I've only sort of learnt this in the last year, to me, the universe is full of cogs and levers and pistons and all sorts of equipment that is moving all the time and, you know, doing stuff and being sprinkled with serendipity. And I've learned that I can sit with a bad day and not do if only and what if, because I've learned that in a day or two, or maybe even in an hour or two, something will happen, or somebody will come, or somebody will phone, or something will happen that will lift my mood. Now, I'm not saying one must rely on external things for our mood to change, but what I'm saying is I refuse to do the what if. I refuse to do the if only, even in a low mood, because all that does is fill me with self-doubt. All that does is lower my self-esteem. All that does is lower any, cause any self-loathing. It just brings you down, then anxiety begins, and then fear begins, and then depression begins. And whoa, 2 questions that I have kept asking myself, what if and if only, have caused a complete attitude mashup, the apocalypse in my head. So what I've learned to do on days when my mood is low, and it's the same old, no, I don't take a pill. If only there was a pill. I don't, it's the same old approaches that we have to take. I start with gratitude. If I can't be grateful about anything sort of brilliant going on, I just start with the basics. I am grateful I have a house. I am grateful I have a roof over my head. I'm grateful I have enough food in the house to eat. I'm grateful that all my limbs work. I'm grateful that I have friends. I'm grateful that I have family that care about me. I'm grateful that the sky is blue and that the sun is out. I'm grateful that the rain is coming down, watering the plants. Whatever it is, I start speaking out gratitude, because that stops the what if and the if only and allows all the cogs and the pistons and the levers and the little shinings of serendipity in the universe to do their thing. And I'm not wasting time by living in a low mood. My mood slowly lifts. Why? Only one thing. I've stopped asking two questions. What if and if only? And I certainly haven't written a poem about it. So we need to remember that when we are in moments of joy, times of great pleasure, we don't ask what if and if only. We live in the moment with a kind of inherent gratitude. We're not having to force it, it's there. Look at the friends I'm surrounded with. Look at the weather. Look at the money in my bank account. There's an inherent gratitude that fills us with serotonin and dopamine and whatever. And very few people sit and write poems at that time. They just live in that joy. And the attitude and our mood and our sense of self-esteem, our sense of worth is lifted. So my suggestion is to, when you are low, don't ask the questions, what if and if only. Don't analyze. Don't write sad poetry. Either take some action and go and visit a friend, or buy some chocolate, or definitely speak out gratitude, because the levers and the pistons and all the wheels and cogs of the universe are working, that in a couple of days at least things will lift and your mood will improve. I have found that to be so true. It's almost as if by speaking out gratitude, you invite the universe to behave benevolently on your behalf. Now, I have no science to back that up, but it's how it feels, and that's how it's worked for me. Maybe it's just that we give ourselves more of an opportunity to recognize the good things when they come along, because we're not too busy going, nee, 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 nee. You are in charge of your attitude. I'm in charge of my attitude. I'm in charge of whether I write sad poetry or just enjoy happy moments. Take care.